had a chance to collaborate and decide what they want to ask. We're going to be beginning with an audience question, and Billy here will be giving it to you.
Okie dokie. Outside the sub right now, there's a group of students at a table signing notes to your state legislature regarding a bill that is in the House that will allow concealed weapons on campus if passed. What would you do if this bill is passed, and how do you feel about the bill? And we will direct this question to Dylan first.
How long do I have to respond?
Go ahead. Oh, you're good. Go.
1 minute.
Okay, I think that my esteemed colleague Steven knows much more about this. He's very passionate about this, but we were actually just out there helping them set up their tent, believe it or not. But, you know, I believe that each student has a right to their own safety, and I believe that if this were to come up to the House and if this were to be voted on at the state level, and if this were to pass, it would be something that, you know, we would allow on campus. I think due to the events that have happened at U of M, that could possibly be the reason that such a bill is being pursued right now. I think that if this is something that students want to see on this campus, then I believe it's something we should allow for them to have. And as I said before, each student has their own right to their own safety. So, thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay, Mr. Haskell thinks that the bill, if passed, should be allowed on campus and that students have the right to have a weapon on campus. How do you respond to this? 1 minute.
Thanks. So this bill, I have some issues with it because the way that it's being written, it's taking autonomy away from the Board of Regents, which is the governing body for the university system. And I'm not speaking out here for or against gun rights. I get that in Montana, gun rights is a huge issue, and I fully support students in their, in whatever way they believe. If they want to support gun rights, that's totally fine with me. But I feel like we are addressing this in the wrong manner. We should be, if we really do want concealed weapons on campus, we should be writing to the Board of Regents and the Office of the Commissioner of Higher Education about this, and not the legislature, because the way that it works in Montana is that the governing body over the university system is a totally autonomous entity, and we need to keep that autonomy so that way we can ensure that higher education continues to have freedom of thought and diversity of thought. So with that, I just feel like we should look at the constitutionality of this bill and consider that when signing on our support or not supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haskell, Lindsay thinks that the bill would take autonomy away from the Board of Regents, and it is their decision to regulate this. You have 30 seconds to respond.
Thank you.
Am I on? Okay. I believe that the students have the power, okay? Yes, the Board of Regents, that's probably the correct route to go, but if students want to see something like this happen, I think it is completely within their right to be out on the mall campaigning for something. And that goes for just about any type of bill that they want to see go before the House. I think it's completely fair for students to take this route. And in fact, I like seeing it. I like seeing them take the initiative to go about it this way. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This will be a follow-up question. We're going to direct it to the Vice President, starting with Mr. Smith. You'll have 1 minute. How safe do you think our campus is, and is placing guns in the hands of college students a good idea, especially considering the volatile environment that college can be?
Absolutely. So safety is definitely a top priority on campus. I was at a presentation by MSU Police Chief Putsky, and he said, it's not always about how safe campus actually is, it's about how safe you feel on campus. And that is super important. I live on campus right now, and we have the gun check-in policy at the front desk of all the residence halls. I think that's a very good system. So maybe if we can figure out a way to implement that across campus where, you know, if students want to have their guns, I think that's something that they should come and talk to us about, and we can go to the Board of Regents. Absolutely. If we want it, we should be able to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe, you will have 30 seconds to respond.
Could you tell me what I'm responding to, the main points?
It would be Mr. Smith's main points that the system in place allows students to bring guns. They have to be checked in the residence halls, and that it should be student voice on this issue.
Thank you. Okay, currently what we have is, like Lucas said, is if you have a gun, you have to check it in at the residence hall so you can have it on campus. I feel that's a great system in place because, like myself, I'm assuming most of you out there are hunters and enjoy the beautiful outdoors that Montana has to offer. And I think that this is great that this is an amazing thing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We would now like to get back to the opportunity we gave you during break. We would like to give Lindsay the opportunity to ask her partner one question. You'll have a minute to respond to whatever she asks.
So one of the big issues, Lucas, that's been coming up about you is how you're a freshman. And I would like to hear from you a little bit about how you're going to overcome that obstacle and how you're going to be working very hard to ensure that it's not an issue.
Absolutely. So being a freshman, I don't think that inhibits me. I think that helps me. I'm able to represent the future of Montana State University, where you can still give the voice to the older students that are here, finishing up their degrees. One thing that I'm doing for the freshmen right now that affects me personally is the food on campus. I'm working to get more local, more sustainable food in all the cafeterias. A lot of my constituents have I hear complaints about all the food. Every time I eat, there's always something negative being said, and that really bothers me. I definitely want to improve the food on campus and representing freshmen and the future of Montana State.
Okay, thank you, Lucas. And we'd like to give the same opportunity to Dylan now, so you may ask Steve one question.
Thank you. Big Steve. One of our campaign focuses is information technology development. What steps have you taken to work on such a thing? And what would you like to see happen in the future with information technology on this campus?
Thank you, Dylan. Currently what I'm trying to do is, we're trying to improve the Wi-Fi on campus as a Senate. And what we're trying to do there is create Wi-Fi that is better accessible in places that you are currently having trouble. I don't know if any of you have had trouble before in Reed, Wilson, the residence halls. That's one of the main things that we're looking to fix right now, and that's what's being done already. And then I think during our candidacy, we have got some great ideas for information technology, such as maybe some sort of parking situation in place that would have a counter that would tell you how many parking spots are left. So you wouldn't have to be circling around trying to find a parking spot. Rather, you could save time and efficiency by going to a different parking location. I think these are great strides forward for information technology, and I think we're going to do a great job advancing them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next question will be an audience question, and I will direct it to Lindsay. It's going to be 1 minute to respond. The question is the tobacco ban just when only 14% of students voted on the legislation? Go ahead, 1 minute.
Thank you. So I think that voter turnout is one of the huge issues that we face as a nation, but also as a campus. And while, yes, there is some students have issues with the fact that not the entire student population voted on the legislation, the opportunity for every student to vote was made very aware. We raised awareness, we had signs, we made sure that we were campaigning, and we made sure that we were raising awareness about the smoking ban. And so with this, I think that we need to ultimately put some responsibility on students. While yes, it is our job to be the voice of the students and to help raise awareness, it's also the students' job to help to tell us what they want. And it's the students' job to continue to hold us accountable for being in these positions. And so with that, I think that the smoking ban it is just because we raised awareness about the vote, and we made sure that we were campaigning, and we made sure that we were getting the information out to students to ensure that they were voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Dylan, do you agree that campus was made adequately aware of this voting? 30 seconds.
So the students did have the opportunity, but once again, I do not believe that ASMSU does a good job of pushing or making itself aware of students and actually outreaching and speaking with them. I was around when this ban was first brought up, and you know, I do believe that it was voted on. It was a 60-40 vote. And it did pass, and it will remain that way, but I believe that if students want to bring it up again, it is definitely up for debate in the near future. Thank you.
Lindsay, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Thank you. Again, I'm just going to continue to reiterate that we did raise awareness about the voting, and I was running for Senate at that time, and I had several students come up to me and ask me about it while I was running. And so I think that we just need to continue to look for different avenues to raise awareness to students, whether this is guerrilla marketing on the mall, utilizing the exponent more, or increasing our amount of social media. We need to continue to get this information out to students. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will be another audience question. We will direct this to Mr. Rowe. The question is, what changes would you make to the university policy concerning sexual assault, especially protection for survivors, prosecution of perpetrators, etc.? You have 1 minute.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What changes would you make to university policy concerning sexual assault, especially protection for survivors, prosecution of perpetrators, etc.?
I think the first step is reviewing the policy, because currently I am not aware of what it currently states, and I want to be fully informed when I make that decision. And I'm not going to spend a second, I'm not going to tell anyone to do anything unless I know what I'm going to be doing. And then finally, I do believe that anyone who is committing these heinous sexual assault crimes needs to be prosecuted by the fullest extent of the law, and the Voice Center is a great resource for those victims, and I believe that it's continually being used. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, Stephen Rowe is not aware of the current policy in place. Are you? 30 seconds.
I'm not aware of the exact current policy, but I want to emphasize that we are supporting clubs like the Voice Center, Students Against Sexual Assault, Men Stopping Rape, and we'll continue to support the Not in Our House campaign and continue to bring awareness and action to stop this behavior.
Mr. Rowe, you will have 30 seconds to respond to that.
Okay. I did realize that this is an issue, but this is why I'm running. It's because I want to help students that are having problems with this. I can tell you after this debate, I'm going to go look up this policy, and I'm going to go see if it needs to be changed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'd like to return to one panel question here. Dylan, we're wondering, which of your opponent's comments have you disagreed with the most so far?
Wow. I'd say that we keep going back on this issue, and we keep arguing back and forth about how ASMSU has done outreach in the past. It is my firm belief that students are not being heard. They're not being heard because they're not being spoken to. They don't have face-to-face communication with the current ASMSU president, vice president. I want to be out on the mall in my sweatpants and a baseball cap, talking to students, saying, "Hey, I'm your current president. What do you want to see on this campus? What changes do you want to see here? What are your beliefs about the current situations?" And I want to tell them what's happening at the ASMSU, the administrative level, so that they're aware. ASMSU has not done that great of a job of that in the past. We have a very good relationship with the administration at the university level. Unfortunately, ASMSU is not always the best at getting back to the students, getting back to them with their answers, and getting back to them with results. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Lindsay, we'd like to hear from you. Do you agree that you and Kia have not been as accessible as the president and vice president should be?
I think that Kia and I have done the best that we can do this year. Again, like I said, it is a learning process, and it's essentially impossible to get it right the first time, because you're thrown into these positions and you're expected to have, the office hours of administrator, as well as being just a regular student. But with that, I think Kia and I have done an excellent job at trying to raise awareness around ASMSU, trying to make ASMSU a more accessible organization, and trying to continue that the doors of ASMSU are always open, both metaphorically and literally. Thank you.
Thank you. Dylan, 30 seconds to respond.
Once again, I just don't believe that's happened. Stephen and I will get this right on the first try. We want to be there. We are going to be there. And I've spent a lot of time with students. At my time here at Montana State University, I've made a lot of great friends here. Made a lot of great connections. I want to continue doing that. And as ASMSU president, I hope to be meeting many students at a face-to-face level, and to talk with them personally and to get their personal viewpoints on things. It hasn't been done. When Steve and I take over the leadership of ASMSU, it will be.
Thank you. All right, the next question will be an audience question, and we will direct it to Lucas first. Lucas, since you're a freshman, how do you think that you can engage the 92% missing student voters, especially being that a large amount of those are freshmen? You have 1 minute.
Absolutely, I agree. I know a lot of freshmen don't vote. Just talking to my friends and people that I know in the residence halls, I think creating general awareness about ASMSU is step one. It's going to be a pretty long process. You know, like I said before, throwing events in the residence halls, working with RHA, collaborating with the freshmen. We really need to get freshmen involved so the freshmen stay here, the freshmen are engaged, and the freshmen succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, what is your take on the 92% missing votes?
I feel that I'm more a part of the 92% and I could better represent them. Like most of the 92%, I live off campus. I drive to school every morning. I'm a part of that, and it just takes a little bit more. You have to be a little more engulfed in the MSU culture, and I believe it takes more than 2 semesters, 1.5 semesters here. I've also been the vice president of RHA, and I've thrown RHA events that have been successful, and I feel that there needs to be more experience in this administration.
Okay, thank you, Steve. We'd now like to return to the other question we asked you to cover during our break, and we'll give Lindsay the opportunity to ask Dylan first. And basically, you have the opportunity to ask your opponent one question.
Thank you. Dylan, if you are so passionate about this organization, why didn't you rerun for Senate this year? And can you please tell me what you did accomplish in your time as the Senate Vice President?
Okay, thank you. Well, I first became an ASMSU senator as a freshman. I learned to love this campus, and I went on to become the Senate Vice President, which put me in a position as the chairman of the Finance Board. What I did as chairman of the Finance Board was greatly increase the communication between the Finance Board and the ASMSU Senate, something I was very passionate about. I also worked to actually create a bike share on campus. It's something that, quite frankly, failed. It didn't work out, you know, it was something that I was pushing for quite strongly, but it just didn't happen. And in the future, you know, I'd like to direct efforts elsewhere. I didn't rerun, honestly, because I turned in my application a little too late to Eric. And he told me that, you know, due to the election rules that I couldn't run again, and I took that with a grain of salt. And, you know, I said, you know, that's fine, that is fair. Those are the rules, and we got to follow them. But I was really busy working with other Senate stuff, and just, you know, ran out of time to really, I guess address that and to realize, oh, I haven't turned in my application yet. But you know, in my time outside of Senate, it has really, really increased my experience and it given me a different perspective on ASMSU. I think when you're inside the organization, you get really caught up on the goings-on and the day-to-day activities of ASMSU, and you really forget what it's like to be a student on the outside. I was a student on the outside this last semester, and I think it's a real strength that I have now, because I was able to take a different perspective on the organization. I was able to look at it in a different light. And now I realize that, yes, its greatest weakness is it does not reach back to the students that it claims to represent, and we need to do that on this campus. There's so much great leadership within ASMSU. It is an incredible organization, and it can be even better. Stephen and I will be great leaders for this organization, and we look forward to this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lindsay, we'll give you 30 seconds to address anything you want to say, and then we'll have Dylan ask you a question.
Thank you. I would just like to say with that, that our current Vice President of the Senate, Erica McKay, really has done what Dylan says he did, but I don't quite think that he did accomplish. Erica has worked to reorganize some of the financial and funding board structures. She has been an incredible liaison between those two groups in Senate, and she really has helped to reach out to not only our senators and the general student population, but also the clubs that were applying for this registered student organization funding as a whole. And that's the kind of expectation that I will be holding Lucas and I to, as well as everyone in the organization next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Dylan, please ask Lindsay your question.
Well, my question was originally for Lucas. I was going to ask about the freshman thing, but thank you two for already asking that. Lindsay, You know, I'd like to know what concrete solutions, and I'm thinking concrete things, what have you accomplished right now in your position, and what will you do in the future to address issues that the majority of campus has at stake right now? I'm not talking about just the minority groups that you and Kia have focused on so much lately. I'm talking about parking or tuition rates or strong issues that exist on this campus.
Well, like I said, speaking right off the bat to tuition, I am a member of the statewide affordability task force as well as the campus-wide one, and so that looks at ways in which we can critically look at tuition rates as well as student fees to see which ones are really impacting students and which ones are not. Which ones can we get rid of? Which ones can we scale down or do differently so that way we're ensuring that students are getting the best bang for their buck. Secondly, I'm a member of the Romney Renovation Committee this year, and so I've been really working to outreach with students and the student clubs who utilize that building to make it a building that is really conducive to student success. I have been working with a lot of the students who use the gym and the dance studio, as well as a bunch of other stakeholders who have a real stake in this building. And so I've been working with them to see how we can make this building conducive to student success and how we can make this a building that all students will want to be a part of. And while you touch on Kia and I just representing minorities, while I don't think that that is what we've done, we have tried our hardest to work for the majority of the student population. I think working for certain minorities within the student population is a real issue. Because if just one person does not feel comfortable here at MSU, then that's a problem for me. If one student does not feel like our campus is inclusive, and just one student does not feel like MSU is their home, then that's an issue for me, and I want to work on it. I want to do everything that I can to ensure that that student feels like MSU is their home and feels like they have a voice in me. I will do everything I can to outreach not only to the majority of students, but to the minority of students, because I think that it is critical in creating an inclusive campus that will have a much more cohesive campus culture, and I am committed to not only the majority of students, but also those smaller minorities of students. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Dylan, you have 30 seconds to highlight anything you would like.
Okay. Thank you. I was looking for concrete solutions, but you know that will have to do. Look, I don't believe that representing minority groups of students is a bad thing whatsoever. I think that that is an incredible focus, and it will be continued after Steven and I take over these positions. But what I'm thinking of is that the majority of students have been misrepresented. These major issues need to be tackled. When I would love to continue protecting minority groups of students and working with ASMSU centers to do so. But then again, tuition and parking, these other issues have come to light and they need to be addressed now.
Thank you. All right, the last question will be an audience question, and it will be directed to Steve. You have spent 1 year on the ASMSU Senate. What do you feel are your biggest accomplishments during your tenure?
Absolutely. The first accomplishment that I can recognize is that I created an IT forum in which students can come to the IT department in the town hall and the procrastinator and say, hey, I have a problem with my Wi-Fi, can I get this fixed? And then you'll have that connection with the Do It Latimer. He's actually the CIO. He's there every time. He's very passionate about helping students, and he's really good at relaying students' problems to the IT department. Another thing that I'm spearheading right now is actually improving the Wi-Fi on campus. Currently tonight, the first reading of a resolution to fix Wi-Fi on campus is gonna be going through Senate. This is stuff that I'm passionate about, and I want your lives to be easier when you're in the library and you can't turn in your homework assignment because you can't turn on your internet. It's frustrating to me that sometimes they can't get connected to the internet in the residence halls. And then I've had several business students come up to me and say, hey, fix my Wi-Fi and read. I really am dedicated to fixing the IT excellence on campus, and so far in my Senate term, I've been dedicated to doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Lucas, same question. You will have 1 minute to highlight the things that you have done in your 1 year on the ASMSU Senate so far.
Absolutely. So, first off, I just want to say I'm just super engaged with campus. I'm the RJ president of North. So on Senate this year specifically, I helped co-author a bill for the marching band, and that is on President Cruzado's desk, and hopefully we'll be getting them funding so the marching band can grow to 150 members by 2019 in the next few years, and it'll grow every year in chunks. I'm also working on the bylaws of ASMSU to help increase freshman involvement. Right now, it's really hard to run for Senate as a freshman, so I'm lobbying for the spring elections, just have one big election. Freshmen can get involved, get acclimated with campus, and then run for Senate. I'm also a member of PSCAP, which is the President's Commission Against Substance Abuse, and I am working on food on campus to create more sustainable and healthy and local food in all of the dining halls across campus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and that concludes our questioning period. We're now going to give the candidates each 1 minute to close by highlighting why they think that we should vote for them and do specific evidence from today's debate. Thank you. We'll begin with Lindsay.
Thank you. On March 5th and 6th, you should vote Lindsay and Lucas because we are committed to student success. We have the experience, but also we are a dynamic team who is committed to ensuring that this environment is conducive to that student success. We've had extensive involvement all around campus through ASMSU, but also through residence life, orientation, and other registered student organizations. We are committed to engagement opportunities here on campus, whether that be through training students or through providing students funding for those registered student organizations. We are committed to that. We want to continue to promote an inclusive campus that will ensure all students feel like they are part of a bigger, more cohesive campus culture. So while that means representing the minority or the majority of students, we will also work every day tirelessly to represent the smaller minorities of students. And then finally, the 3 angles of sustainability. We want to focus on financial sustainability, ensuring that we're spending student fees properly and transparently. Secondly, sustainable growth. We want to ensure that we're holding the administration accountable for the growth here on campus. And it looks like I'm out of time, but vote Lindsay and Lucas. Thank you.
Thank you. Dylan, we'd like to hear from you. 1 minute.
Thank you. I believe you should vote for myself and Steven because we have concrete ideas. We have concrete solutions to issues facing our campus right now. I don't think that Lindsay and Lucas have that as much. I believe that they're promoting, they want to see a cohesive campus culture. I would love to see that as well. I would like to promote student engagement, and it will be happening. I would love to see an engagement program, working with residence halls, working with Res Life, breaking down the barriers between ASMSU and other organizations, getting us all working together as one cohesive unit. And I would love to see this happen in our near future. We are the best candidates. We have the experience, but we also want to reach out to these students who have not been heard in the past. And we want to change the focus of ASMSU. We want to make it a better organization. This organization has so much potential. These senators do so much work for you guys. All of you students, these senators are working day and night for you all the time. We want you to be aware of it, but we want to hear your voice. We want to get your input on what they are working on. So thank you. Vote Dylan and Stephen.
Okay, thank you. Lucas, you'll have 1 minute.
Absolutely. So remember to vote Lindsay and Lucas. We're hardworking, we're passionate. Lindsay is one of the hardest working people I know. She is here 7 in the morning, doesn't leave till 11 o'clock at night, always on campus. I myself am the same. I work hard, and we will to vote. We're 100% of our efforts to this, and I urge you guys to vote Lindsay and Lucas. Thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Lucas. Steven, you'll have 1 minute to close.
Thank you. You guys should vote for Dylan Haskell and Stephen Rowe because we feel that we are the best fit for Montana State University. There are many issues that need to be solved, and we do, like Dylan said, we have concrete solutions, and we're ready to enact them. And we're dedicated to improving the campus experience for every Bobcat, and that means the person walking on their phone over there, even though he's not listening to you right now. Hey, guy, I want to make the school better for you. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. So you should vote for Dylan Haskell and Steve.